Okay. Um, let's see, is this working? Can you guys hear me? Everything working? I want to make sure everything's working for you guys so that I'm just not talking to nobody. I hear a couple works. I hear yes and no. So for the people who are saying no, something might be wrong with your computer because for quite a bit of people, they're saying it does work. All right, let's just get straight to it. We got about 20 people watching right now. Hopefully that gets up a little. Let me quickly tweet the live stream really quick. All right, I just tweeted out. Hopefully we get some more people in here. But so basically I have some notes. I've been taking the notes on the game. First, shout out to Ian Rouse. He jinxed the OKC Thunder. He was texting me or he was tweeting at me, and he said, "I hope I don't jinx it, but the Thunder coming up clutch right now." And then um, yeah, it didn't work out. I actually sent him back a GIF of Jinx, the Pokemon character. I'm hoping that he liked that. But first things first, I see someone, Christian, he says Kevin Durant sucks, man. And I have to disagree. I thought KD played pretty good in this game. And I actually think OKC played pretty good in this game. I was talking to my friends and my homies yesterday about game 7, and I said, these guys have to punch the Thunder in the nose. First quarter, go all out and just really take the confidence away from the Thunder early. And that wasn't happening. And then I said, well, if they don't do that, at least in the second half. And that's kind of what happened. The third quarter was huge for the both teams, really. But in a positive side, the Warriors had a really good third quarter and OKC kind of stumbled, but then they bounced back in the fourth quarter. And I have to say, I'm really impressed with the way OKC played. Honestly, they could have rolled over and died. They didn't play perfect. We'll get into that, but they played great. With Thunder fans, you should be proud of your team to a certain extent. They did blow a 3-1 lead, but the way they came out in game 7, you guys should be proud of that team. And yes, Andrew Cooper, those KD nights were fire. All right. Let me just check the chat room. There's a lot about KD in here. Hold on. Let me talk to Nightwing really quick. Okay, so let's start with the first quarter. The first thing that caught my attention was that the starting lineup for the Warriors was different. Iguodala started in place for Barnes, and I wasn't quite sure about that. I thought starting Iggy was smart, but I wasn't sure about Barnes coming off the bench. That doesn't really work, and it showed in his second year when Mark Jackson came. He came off the bench and really, really struggled after a solid rookie season. And part of that has to do with, a sophomore slump and guys just know how to guard you. You're on a scouting report now, but I just don't think he's really a bench player. I remember way back when it was, should Iggy start or should Barnes start? And I said, why don't you start both of them and put Clay off the bench because he's more like a spark plug. Boy, was I wrong. But yeah, Iggy started, Barnes was out, but you know what? It ended up working out for the Warriors because Barnes played a great game. He may have not scored a lot, but that guy probably had the most retrieved 50-50 balls, whether it was a rebound or a loose ball or something like that. If there was a stat that kept track of how many loose balls you get, Barnes probably led the Warriors in that category. Um, Let me just check the chat room here. Is Nightwing in here? Oh yeah, Nightwing's in here. I see okay, so Nightwing's in here. All right. Anyways, I want to bring up, so I like OKC a lot. They were just really disappointing for me these past couple years and this season. Ibaka's one of my top 5 favorite players in the league, but Steven Adams. Now, I've always liked Steven Adams, especially when I saw one game he played. It was like a double overtime game when he was in Notre Dame, and the guy balled. And this dude was huge. And his number one thing that he contributed was his free throws. The guy was like an 85, 90% free throw shooter this entire series, and he couldn't miss. It was crazy. But I have a question for you guys. If you're an Oklahoma City Thunder fan or a GM, hypothetically, would you rather have Adams or Harden on your team? Bill Simmons asked that on his podcast, and I thought it was an interesting conversation. Now, obviously, James Harden is a better player, but for that OKC team, who would you rather have, Harden or Adams? I'm not sure. So I'm seeing in the chat room a lot of Hardens. I get it. He's a better player for sure, but Adams, I think, is a better fit. I think what Adams does that's really underappreciated is his ball control. When he gets a rebound and he's in the paint and there's 2, 3 guys slapping at his arms and the ball, he doesn't let go of it. He keeps the ball and he makes the right pass out to the perimeter. That's a huge thing, especially when your team is all about rebounding. Getting the rebound and making the right play and keeping that possession alive is huge. If Thompson had the ball control of Tristan Thompson of the Cavs had the ball control of Adams, he'd be an exponentially better player, in my opinion. So in the chat room, I'm seeing it's mostly Harden. I get that. But a lot of people are saying Sylvia, I hope I'm saying your name right. He says Adams because he rebounded like a crazy ass beast. That's true. Noah, shout out to Noah. Harden was incredibly temperamental this season. I'd agree, but that has to do with coaching. I mean, they fired their coach early in the season. I mean, that team was destined to do terrible things. Now, Reggie Jackson, Jake Mulliner, God, I'm butchering these names, I think. He mentions Reggie Jackson. Now, I want to talk about Reggie Jackson for a second. One of the reasons why I began to dislike the Thunder was because every time a player on their team started to play really well, it didn't work out for them. So Harden got traded, but that wasn't necessarily because Russ and KD ran him out of town. At least I don't think. But like when Reggie Jackson started playing really well, he left that team on really bad terms, and he didn't get along with like Russ or Ibaka or even KD. So I'm just wondering, like, do you guys see that? Do you guys notice that every time someone tries to like shine with OKC, they kind of disappear? Like they trade him, they release him, or something like that. It's crazy. I wonder if that's gonna happen to Adams. I don't want it to. I don't think it will, but it wouldn't surprise me because Charles Barkley and Shaq, they were giving Adams a ton of credit and they were just bashing KD and Russ. I mean, I think that that's crazy. All right. Ian's asking if he's asking me if KD is leaving. Okay, so let's talk about KD's leaving. In the chat room, let me know. Do you guys think KD is leaving? And if he is, where is he going? Let me let the chat room simmer a little bit. I see KD to Washington. Shout out Kwame Brown. I see KD ain't going to LA. I'd have to agree. There's a San Antonio in there. 74-8, Matt. That's funny. There's DC. KD will stay. Rockets. New York Knicks. Wow, there's a lot of the people who are saying he would leave. Where they're going to, where they have him going to, they're none of my teams that I have him going to. The Spurs, maybe. I mean, that's a dark horse for sure. Okay. 76ers. Sure. Trust the process. Okay, so here's a couple of answers that say Celtics. And shout out to Devon. I'm not gonna say that last name. Devon says Miami. I think that's a real possibility. KD to Miami. Now, before this series started, I thought that KD was going to leave. But now that I see the way the Thunder are playing, I don't really see him leaving. And if he does, I definitely don't see him leaving to go to another team in the West. I really don't. I think there's too much competition. I think he knows this. And I had him going to the Trailblazers around the All-Star break. I said, look, the Trailblazers and KD, I would bet my money on it because that's a really good situation. Very good situation. And I want to ask you guys, if you put KD on this year's Blazers team, are they better or just as good as this current Thunder team with KD? So KD on the Thunder or KD on the Blazers? What team do you think is better? I think they're just the same. I really do. But that's just my opinion. But back to the Miami thing, I think him going to Miami where there's no state tax, where there's a good culture, where they take care of their own down there in Miami. Pat Riley has been doing an amazing job. But again, it's in the East, and really the only thing standing in your way is LeBron. And yes, that's a huge hurdle. LeBron is no slouch, top 2 best player in the league. But in the East, you'll consistently get to the Eastern Conference Finals, and at least you'll have a chance. Whereas the West, you could have easily got bounced out in the semifinals against the Spurs. A lot of people had you bouncing out against the Spurs in the semifinals. But let me know what you guys think. KD to Miami, I think it's a huge possibility. I would feel really good if I'm a Heat fan about that. A couple teams that he could go to, Boston. Him and Danny Ainge have this interesting relationship, especially with Kevin Durant's mom. But I don't think he's going to LA whatsoever. That's just me talking as a Lakers fan. I don't see it at all. And yes, Anthony Duarte, Miami does have money. I don't think he's going to Washington. I just don't. I really can't put my finger on why, but I can't see it. I really just can't do it. Let's move along with the game. Let's see. Let's move on to the second quarter. Okay. I want to ask you guys this. There's a lot of things people say about Curry and Draymond, and he's dirty or whatever. Curry's cocky or whatever. But what about Westbrook? Like, he had this play against Iggy where he shot a 3 and he kicked his legs out about shoulder level, but it easily could have hit him in the face. And I think Iggy got hit on the face from his hand, Westbrook's hand or something like that. But those plays really bother me. Now, I know Reggie Miller did the kick, but it wasn't as egregious as Westbrook does it. What do you guys think about that? I don't really hear too much about people complaining about how Westbrook does that. I mean, it's pretty annoying, and it's not a very nice or good basketball play. Westbrook is just kind of like out of control, and I'm not arguing that Draymond isn't dirty, but Westbrook, man, he's like, that kick is crazy to me. Like, that's a borderline, offensive foul in my opinion. Let's see what the chat room is saying. Nathan Butler says Westbrook is a dramatic player and hype. I know he's dramatic and he is explosive, and I would have to say he's technically the most explosive player of all time. Christian Fennell, I'm butchering again. He says that he's the most explosive player of all time. I would agree with that. Technically, he is, but Rose in his prime, that MVP season, was the most explosive and under control player. Westbrook sometimes I feel like goes up in the air or does something and he doesn't know the end and he just kind of tries to overpower you. Whereas that Rose season, he was explosive and it looked like he knew where he was going, or at the very least, he could go somewhere and if it didn't work out, adjust. Whereas Westbrook kind of just goes up and glides and just tries to get the job done right then and there. He doesn't really adjust mid-air. But that's my thing about Westbrook. I don't think he's in control. I never feel like he's picking apart the defense. I feel like he's trying to overpower the defense. So that's just my take on Westbrook. You guys talk a lot about, yes, Nightwing. I have a little Winnie the Pooh on my bed. Leica requested that be there. So I'm not hiding it. If you can't laugh at yourself, you're not allowed to laugh at anyone. But yes, little Winnie the Pooh stuffed things. Nightwing, yes. Let's see. Rose is pretty much always injured, so I've just moved away from Rose. That's what Chase Walker says. Yeah, I get it. He's injured all the time, but I'm just talking about that one season. Totally in control and one of the most explosive players I've ever seen. And it's one thing to be explosive, but to contain that explosiveness and use it at the right time is a really hard skill to do. And Westbrook just doesn't have that skill yet. Hopefully he could find a way to do it because, again, explosiveness, like we see with Rose, doesn't last forever. And I know Westbrook got injured and he's retained his explosiveness and athleticism, but when he gets into an older age, he's got to be able to do it in spurts, not all the time, 110% of the time like he's doing right now. Commando Gregor, I don't know. He's asking me how I feel about the ticket prices for tonight's game. Look, I live in the Bay and I've looked up prices. I've gone to games and spent a lot of money on Warriors games. That's just how it is. It's ridiculous. And it doesn't surprise me that there were seats for $29,000. Albeit courtside, it doesn't surprise me at all. The Bay Area is a very expensive place to live. Paul L. Steve Francis thoughts. Yeah, Westbrook's better than Steve Francis, but I get where you're going with that comparison. I did say that one time in one of my videos. I believe it was a Trash Talk with Nightwing. And yes, Steve Francis and Russell Westbrook have similarities, but Westbrook is much better player. Also, have you guys seen Steve Francis lately? He looks like he's on crack. Some people are saying the audio cut out. Can you guys still hear me? One guy said the audio cut out. Oh. Can you guys hear me? A couple people are saying the audio's out. Just let me know if you guys could hear me. Audio's off. I'm hearing a couple yeses and no's, so I don't know. Someone's saying to close the live stream if your audio's off and then reopen it and you'll be able to hear me. Okay, so let's move on. Yes, there will be a prediction on Cavs and Golden State near the end of this video. I just need to power through this game. Let's just move on to the second half. The third quarter was huge for both teams, especially the Warriors. And when the Warriors went on that 10-0 run, I mean, it was unreal. And you guys got to give Curry some credit, right? Wait, hold on. Nightwing's trolling. What is he saying? What is Nightwing saying? I'm sorry, I can't hear you. The audio's out. Oh, that's an inside joke between me and Chris. Oh, good one. But remember where you learned that joke from, okay? All right. Anyways, thoughts on Curry's, guys. Let me know. Why am I wearing a Cleveland colored hat? Yo, this is your hat. Thoughts on Curry? Chat room. Let me know now. Curry, in my opinion, showed up. The boy played a great game, and I Wasn't quite sure if this was a game that the stars were going to be big or the role players were going to be big, but it so happened that the stars were big. I'm seeing a lot of I hate him, he's cocky, a couple swear words, unbelievable. Why do you guys hate Curry so much? I think Russell is just as cocky, if not cockier, than Curry. Like I don't understand that. Guys got to explain yourself. You can't just say that Curry's cocky because Russ is, like I said, just as cocky or cockier. But I definitely do think Curry's in the Illuminati. That's not a question. I think that's a fact. But yeah, Curry played great. He shot, I think, over 50% from both three and the field, and it was just an amazing performance. And yeah, Ibaka had a really bad out foul, but that's what good players do. They draw fouls. And iMac just floated onto my bed. That's Leica, okay? And okay, so wow, you guys' names is really hard. Whale Booni says he's got himself the right to be cocky, and that's true. He does. I mean, back-to-back MVPs, breaking all kinds of records. He has the right to be cocky, and the thing that I want to stress is he's never cocky to anyone. He's cocky to himself, to his fans, and to his teammates, but he never is like cocky to another player and like calls out another player. Whereas Russ is kind of like, he laughed at Curry at that presser. I don't know. Like, I don't understand why you guys say Curry is such a bad person. Like, I don't get it. Right? Spencer says Curry is one of the greatest scorers ever. Why not be cocky? I mean, yeah. That's not, there's no ghost in the background. That's my girlfriend. Yeah, my house is haunted. I actually don't have a girlfriend. That is a ghost. Oh, someone said you're hot, so there's that. Chris says hi. Oh, you guys are hilarious. Okay, so last thing, fourth quarter, and then we'll get into predictions for the NBA Finals. Let's see what I have here. Okay, so Donovan went small with about 6 minutes and 20 seconds left, and he took out Adams. Was that the right move? Personally, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I think Donovan rode Kanter too long in that second quarter, and I think that he should have kept Adams in. He was balling, and they really needed Adams' toughness, defense. And I know he was getting cooked by Curry a lot, but that's not really Adams' fault, because had the other roll defender or pick and roll defender had iced the play instead of switching it, because icing takes up more energy than switching. Just ask Tom Thibodeau and Luol Deng, who almost killed Luol Deng. So many icing by him, but icing takes more energy. Had the primary defender iced the ball more, or ran or called out ice, and Adams would show and then get back to his original man, he wouldn't have gotten cooked by Curry that much. But Adams really should have stayed on the floor more. And I see someone here is talking Sterling Pictures says give Varejao credit. Absolutely, give Varejao credit, but that was when Kanter was on the floor, and Kanter's like one of the worst defensive players in the league at his position, at least. William Mercado, he says bad decision. Adams equals extra possessions. I 100% agree. That's what the Thunder needed. And actually, the Warriors got a ton of extra possessions since Adams went out of the game. So it really backfired on them, I feel. But even with that being said, they cut the lead down to 5 or 4 late in the game. So, you know, at the end result didn't work out for them, but I didn't think it was a complete failure in that respect. But that gold playoff Kanter card on 2K My Team is a beast. The rebounding and the hustle points badge is pretty crazy. And the Thunder were winning just by rebounding, and that's true. That's their MO. they rebound, get extra possessions for their 2-star players, and that's it. Just didn't. Donovan pulled the plug on him. Winding down to fourth quarter notes. I have Green made a 3 to put the Warriors up 10 late, and it seemed like forever Green hasn't made a 3, so that was big. Harrison Barnes again came up with a lot of loose balls. Like I said, he played great, even though he didn't shoot the ball particularly well. Curry losing Durant and then kind of dunks. I thought that was a funny play. What a weak dunk, but he did lose Durant. And so if you want to talk about bad defense, well, there's that. And I wanted to bring up this point, and then we'll get into our predictions. This is my last point. I think Curry is a good defender. I really do. Ian, go ahead with your question. But I think Curry is a good defender. The numbers prove it. He's 10th in defensive win shares this season. LeBron is 13th. So there's that. He led the league in steals. But where I think Curry gets separated from other great defensive players is that he can't do it as much as those other guys. But when he's in that situation 2 to 3 times a quarter, he holds his own and he defends very well. But he can't do it every possession of the game like a Kawhi, a Jimmy Butler. These kind of defensive players can do it every possession. Even LeBron, but not Curry. That's just what I think. I see Nathan, he's saying that's BS. But, I mean, the numbers prove that he's an above-average defender. And, again, 10th in defensive win shares. LeBron is 13th, led the league in steals. I think he's a pretty good defender when he gets into those positions, but he just can't do it every possession. Quickly, a couple of people are asking me what my lineup in 2K16 is for my team. It is my starting 5 is Derrick Rose, MVP, Klay Thompson, Moments card, Kawhi Leonard, Diamond, Draymond Green, Diamond, Kareem, Diamond. And then my second unit is Diamond, Damian Lillard, the playoff moments, 97 overall, Froby, LeBron, Scottie Pippen rewards, current LeBron, by the way, and then Paul Millsap Diamond. And at the end of the game, I usually finish with Damian Lillard, LeBron, Kawhi, Draymond, and Paul Millsap. I kind of go small so I can switch everything. But yes, gaming channel. That's something I've always wanted to do. I just don't have the time, really. Jimmy Butler. Brandon Harper says Jimmy Butler is the best overall shooting guard in the league, hands down. I think before the playoffs, or this series at least started, that was true. But I think Klay proved he's a beast. I would put Klay number 1. I think his offensive game is so good. He makes up for it. Now, look, Klay isn't as good as a defender as Jimmy is, but Klay's offense is just so much better than Jimmy's that I would put Klay as the number 1 shooting guard in the league, in my opinion. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Who's the best shooting guard in the league? No, Westbrook isn't falling off. Why would you think that? I don't think I ever said Westbrook is falling off. So I don't know where you're getting that. Harden's really good, but his defense is pretty bad. But again, he's a really good post defender. Like Vince Carter was a really good post defender. It's just not many guys go in the post anymore. So, it's kind of like a lost art, if you will. But James Harden's really good. It's just his defense isn't that great. I think we're talking about all-around best shooting guards, but it's definitely not Andrew Bynum. Okay, so the NBA Finals. Let's make some predictions. Golden State Warriors versus the Cavs. It's a rematch of last year's finals, but there's a twist. This time the Cavs look like a force to be reckoned with, and they're healthy. Now, last year's finals, I thought that the Cavs were better without Love. And the Warriors brass, GMs and scouts and things like that, thought they were better. The Cavs were better without Love and Kyrie. I don't think that, but I think they are better than Love. I'm seeing a lot of Cavs picks And I just honestly, I think you guys are giving it too much to the Cavs. And I know the Cavs can shoot threes, but let me ask you a question. Who's the best offensive player the Cavs had to guard this postseason? Let the chat room answer that question, and then we'll talk about it. But yeah. So I'm seeing mainly Cavs 6, 7. There's a couple Warriors loves in there 7, Golden State in 6. But what? Yeah. Let me know. What did I ask? Oh yeah, who's the best offensive player the Cavs had to guard this postseason? Just let me know. So I see Christian says Lowry. Lowry, Biyombo. I don't know about that. He was great though. Love Biyombo. Bah. Kawhi Leonard. Lowry. No one. There's a no one answer. Raptors duo went hard. Yep. Lowry. DeMar DeRozan. There's didn't even play the Hornets. Why are you guys saying Jeremy Lin? Okay, DeRozan or Lowry. So there's my point. It's DeRozan or Lowry. They're great players, don't get me wrong, especially Lowry. I'm not as high on DeRozan as most people. I love the dude, but I won't want him on my Lakers. But Lowry is the best defensive player or offensive player they have had to guard. So JR got off easy. Kyrie at times got off easy. So I think that when they meet the Warriors, they're going to have to play tough defense. And look, I'm not saying that they can't. I'm just saying that they haven't proved yet that they could really shut down amazing offensive talent. So to me, that's what's going to come down to Cavs defense versus Warriors offense, because like we saw, the Warriors offense is so good. It really kind of doesn't matter what you do, and you really need to not only defend well, but, make baskets. In my opinion, it's tough because the Cavs are playing very well. They're shooting very well. And I want to talk about Kyrie's defense. I think he's a good defender as well, but only when he wants to be. Watching him in college, watching him in the last year's finals, the one game, he played really good defense. Excuse me. And Steph had a really hard time scoring on him in that one game. Again, it's only when Kyrie wants to be a good player on D, but not – it's not like I'm going to be a good player right now. He rarely does it, but he does show up. He really does. And Shumpert is a great defender, but he hasn't been playing a whole lot. Delly as well hasn't been playing a whole lot. And I do think he gets into the head of Curry, but he hasn't been playing a whole lot. Maybe, Lou brings him out for this series. But, yeah, kind of like Curry. But the thing about Curry is it's not when he wants to be. It's just when he's switched on to guys. Curry is a good defender, in my opinion, when he is switched on to guys. But the way Kerr sets up his defensive schemes, he doesn't have Curry get switched on to marquee players that often. But when he does, he's good. But the thing with Kyrie is that sometimes he is good on defense, but most times he's not. I mean, did you guys see last year's final? He did contain Curry very well, and he blocked that game-winning shot attempt by Curry from behind after it looked like he got toasted. That's a good defense, in my opinion. Beno Udrih to Golden State Warriors. He's Slovenian, but I don't think so. But if you ask me who I think is going to win, Golden State or the Cavs, I said that I'm taking whoever's coming out of this Western Conference Finals. I really believe that. I think the power rankings for this year's playoffs, the top 3 teams, it was Number one, whoever won this series, that happened to be the Warriors. I had OKC number one for a while, especially between games 3 and 4. But it would be number one, best playoff team, Golden State, then the Thunder, then the Cavs. So to me, look, anything could happen, and predictions are basically just a guess. But I think that whoever won this series, and it happened to be the Warriors, was going to win the finals. I think that it's a little bit troublesome that the Cavs haven't really been pushed to the edge yet, whereas the Warriors were just down 3-1, and they become the 10th team to come back from a 3-1 deficit, and that's nothing to scoff at. Really, who guards Love? Anybody. Anybody can guard Love. Harrison Barnes, Draymond Green. It's not that hard, especially in the scheme that the Cavs play. Look, I mean, you guys are telling me that I'm tripping, but I'm giving credit to everyone. I give credit to Kyrie and Curry and OKC. I mean, I'm just being positive. That's what this is about, you know? So you guys just want me to say that Kyrie's terrible at defense? I don't think that's true. I mean, again, what I saw in the finals from him, that one game, I thought that he played really good defense, in my opinion, at least better than what we were expecting. And yes, Kyrie, Big Rome says Curry won't guard Kyrie for most of the finals. Again, that's all about Curry's defensive schemes, and they're going to set it up to where he doesn't have to get switched onto him very often. But when he does in dire situations, I think he could hold his own. JR and Love need to make their threes. That's what Barack Trump says. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you need to make shots. That goes without saying. Kyrie is a good player. Absolutely, I believe that. No love for Love. I mean, do I think Oklahoma choked? I don't think Oklahoma choked. I thought they played very well. I thought going small by Donovan was a bad move, but I thought the players that were on the floor at the end of the game played very well, and I don't think they choked. They did choke in Game 6, but not this game. I did think Westbrook tried to go hero ball for a little bit early in the fourth and late in the third, but then he kind of deferred to Durant, and he cut it down to 4, which I thought was a good move by Westbrook. You know, just kind of, okay, I tried. It's not working for me. Durant, take us home. And he almost did. Billy Donovan to NY. Ian, I just explained, yes, I do think Kyrie is an underrated defensive player. That's a tricky question. I think underrated is the wrong word. I just think that when he wants to be a good player on defense, he can be. He's shown it. He just doesn't want to be every possession of the game. Do you think OKC Thunder would have won had they had James Harden? Yes, absolutely. A lot of things change if they don't make that trade, but what I don't think changes is that they get back to the finals. I think they would have. That's just my opinion. You saw that this Thunder team beat the Spurs team this year, which is one of the best Spurs team we've seen since the 2014, except the 2014 Spurs. I mean, that was probably the best basketball I've ever seen played in the finals. But besides that team, that's one of the best Spurs team we've seen in the regular season, at least. And this Thunder team beat that team. I think Thunder team with Harden would have easily beat this Thunder's team. So, and the Spurs went to the finals the years after the Thunder did, and I think they would have no problem passing them, especially with all those injuries. They kind of, when KD went down, when Russ went down, when Ibaka went down, they were thin. And had they had Harden, they wouldn't have been as thin, and they would have had another guy to handle the ball and rely on for scoring. Someone wants to talk about the Lakers. What do you want to talk about? How does this series loss affect KD's legacy? I mean, that's from Nike Addict. Honestly, I don't know. He had some bad games, but then again, he had some great games. Not just this series, but last series as well. So I think it's a hot and cold situation for him. But the way he ended tonight, I thought was a decent ending for him. Not amazing because they did lose, but I thought he played very well for his team down the stretch. I don't think he's a not clutch player, if you want to call it that. Clay choked in last year's finals. Does he choke again? That's from Brandon Harper. Again, I don't know. It's a complete guess. I would guess not. I think he's deserved the right for us to trust him that he won't choke because of that. I mean, all-time great performance in the Western Conference Finals, at least, or you could say playoffs in big clutch situations. Clay came up big. He holds the record for most threes made in a playoff game at 11. So he's earned the right for us to believe he won't choke. Will I be surprised if he chokes? Yeah, a little bit, but I don't think it'll happen. Jerron, has Curry passed Ray Allen as the greatest shooter of all time? A little bit of recency bias, but I think yes. And I think Ray Allen would agree. I think Curry's the best shooter we've ever seen. He's kind of changed the game, whether it's for better or for worse. I don't know. That's up to you guys to decide, but I don't think there's any denying he changes the way teams play defense. It's crazy. Who do you think will make the difference in the finals? That's a tough question. To me, I think it's going to come down to, can the Cavs defend and convert stops into points? That's what I think it'll come down to. I know that's like duh, but if you want a more hot take answer, I think Draymond Green. He's the answer. I think he shot really poorly the last couple series. When in the regular season and the first round, he was shooting very well, like really well. I mean, his 2K rating went up to like 89 standing three-point shot. But he's been really struggling. But if he can knock down those threes and even finish at the rim better, I think he's kind of like Westbrook, where he kind of goes out of control when he's going to the rim. But if he could figure out how to, change his shot in the air or throw a pump and have guys bite, he will be the X factor to me. That's what it's going to come down to. He's going to make the difference. Let's see. Will the King regain his crown? There's a very good chance. But again, I said earlier that I would pick the Warriors. Look, let me just address this. The Warriors deserve to be favorited. They do. Not only did they win 73 games and only lost 9 in the regular season. That's the best record ever, remind you. But they just came down from a 3-1 deficit against a team that was kicking their ass. Not just beating them, literally kicking their ass. And they came down from a 3-1 deficit. They played big on the road. They were down for most of that game, and they came back and won convincingly. And then in Game 7, they won pretty convincingly, not as so much as Game 6, but they won. They deserve to be favored. The 10th team to come down from a 3-1 deficit. They won 73 wins. They deserve, or they won 73 games in the regular season. Look, they deserve to be favored. They do. Would it surprise me if they lost to the Cavs? Not at all. But they deserve to be favored, in my opinion. TNT, it's a commercial for me right now. I might be on a delay. Is Curry hurt? I think he is a little bit hurt. And look, that doesn't mean you can't play good hurt. And just because you play good hurt doesn't mean the next night you're guaranteed to play good again. Your knee could be bothering you and you could play well, and then the next night your knee could still be bothering you and you could play like crap. That's just how it works. No, they're not Turtle Beaches. They're Paul L. They're Skull Crushers by Skull Candy. They're not that good. Will KD get a ring? Yeah, I think he's a great player. I think he'll get a ring, but there is real danger of him becoming the next Melo, if you know what I mean. Over under, how many times Draymond will kick someone in the balls? Probably 3. Will KD switch teams? Probably not, but if he does, Miami. That's my guess. Let me know in the chat room if you have any questions. I'm just kind of, going by the chat room. What if Curry stayed with Nike? Big things. That's what I have to say about that. Kobe played with an injured. He kind of misspelled that. Kobe played with an injury constantly. Yes, he did. And he had bad nights. There were nights where his finger was bothering him, and then there were nights where his finger wasn't bothering him. But that doesn't mean that that's a definitive thing about that's why he played good or that's why he played bad. I mean, injuries could bother you some nights or some nights it's not. It's like, I have a chronic wrist problem. Some months it bothers me, some months it doesn't. It's just how it goes. Pat's fan, Durant's to Miami thoughts. We talked about this earlier. I think that's a real possibility. If he does leave, which I don't think he will go to the East, and I think Miami makes the most sense. Jerron, the Curry 2.5, he's asking me how it feels. KC, Royal 16. The fit on those might be Hall of Fame fit. I'm going to see how they break in, but right now it feels like Marty McFly, like they fit like a mug. Perfect, true to size, crazy. I haven't played in it. I'm playing in it tomorrow, but the fit when I tried it on, crazy, guys. I'm telling you, go true to size. Don't go half size down. Does KD return to DC? No. Again, I said if he leaves, it's to Miami, in my opinion, or Boston. Maybe Portland. That would be awesome. As a fan, I would like to see him in Portland. But again, this is the last time I'm going to say it. Miami, most likely, but probably just staying in OKC. Cavs coach isn't a coach. Well, I'll let you. All right. Yo, Jared, will you ever be a Cavs fan? I'm a Laker fan, so that's my fan. Do I enjoy watching the Cavs? Absolutely. I fire up them on League Pass. I love watching Kyrie. He's one of the most entertaining players in the league, and LeBron has a brilliant game. So there's my opinion on that. DeMar, I don't want DeMar on the Lakers. I love that dude. He, ever since USC, I believed in him. It's great to see the player he's become. I wish he had a three-point shot. I don't want him on the Lakers. I do think Toronto should resign him and upgrade that 4 position. Ibaka would be so perfect in Toronto. Perfect. You think Lakers get Ben Simmons? No, I think 76ers take them. Do I think the Lakers take Ingram? Yes, but I think there's a real possibility they trade that second pick. Yes, I do think Ben Simmons will go first. Let's see. Does Tim Duncan have another year? Absolutely. He kind of went out on a sour note in that Thunder series, but that just wasn't the series for him. Much like how Bogut didn't really play in last year's finals. Tim Duncan shouldn't have been playing, but he did play in that Thunder series. But yes, I do think he has another year in him. What about KD to the Knicks? I just don't see it happening. I mean, why? I don't think so. Best matchup in the finals, you have to wait for my next NBA Talk episode. But yeah, I just uploaded a video today. It's kind of like a mini NBA Talk of what the best Game 7 ever was. And there's an amazing story. You guys have to watch it. It's hilarious. It's amazing. It's about my best friend James and what happened on the day a particular Game 7 happened. So go check that out. I just uploaded it today. I think you guys will really like it. Iggy or Delly on defense? Iggy, just because he's more versatile. He could guard more positions. Delly kind of gets away with like putting his arms out and having guys run into him, whether that's a foul or not. No, I'm fine with them not calling it a foul, but could they call it a foul? Absolutely. But again, I'm fine with it not doing it. KD to Toronto, that's a wet dream. That's cool. That was like his favorite team growing up, but I don't know. I think that's a long shot in my opinion. Which team would Hassan Whiteside fit on if he leaves South Beach? I think any team can use Hassan Whiteside. Any team that doesn't have a guy at the 5 spot, like, the Clippers or the Kings or something like that. But like Portland, I know Miles Plumlee played great, but like Portland could use him. I think Hassan Whiteside to the Hornets makes a lot of sense, especially since Jefferson's probably on the way out, and so is Spencer Hawes, and Whiteside is from that area. That makes a lot of sense to me. So, yeah, I would say the Hornets. KD to the Hornets. I thought about that. There's not a lot to sell there if he's a free agent. If I'm Rich Cho, what do I say? Like, Hey, we have Kemba Walker. He's not as good as Russell Westbrook. Hey, Steve Clifford's a great, a good coach, but can he win championships? I don't know. Hey, Charlotte's a great city. I don't know. But look, if Jordan really gets to him, then I don't know. Anything's possible. KG. KD to the Lakers. Sorry to say, I just don't think that'll happen. Dwight to the Magic. That would be funny, but I would like to see Dwight in a place where he'd be appreciated. I just want to see Dwight, because Dwight happy, playing great is a really fun thing to watch. And I know he gets a lot of hate, and quite frankly, he deserves a lot of that hate. I just want to see him happy because it's fun to watch him. KD to the Pelicans. Boy, would that be a team. But I think there's real fear that there's something in the water and he might get injured then. Would I support KD to LA? Absolutely. I mean, he's a great player. And again, I thought that he played very good in this series. Yeah, he had some bad games in this series. But I think he's a top 5 player in the league. I would love to have him on the Lakers. I would definitely support that. Eric Lee's asking, do you think Steph Curry deserved the first unanimous MVP? Do I think he deserved the first unanimous MVP? Well, yes, because there wasn't a unanimous MVP yet. So technically, yes, he deserved the first one, but should he had what a fail. Should he had I'm failing. He shouldn't have been the first one, is what I'm trying to say. Shaq absolutely deserved to be unanimous MVP. LeBron absolutely deserved to be unanimous MVP the year he was 1 vote shy. Shaq as well, 1 vote shy. Both those guys deserved it, but the fact is that they weren't. Shame on whoever voted against them. But that doesn't mean, since those guys and Jordan weren't unanimous MVPs, doesn't mean Curry shouldn't have been this season. That's not a fault on what Curry did or what he accomplished this season. That's a fault on those idiots that voted for another player when they should have just had voted for Shaq and LeBron and Jordan. Like, that's the fact. Yes, Curry deserved to be unanimous this year. The first one, no. LeBron, Jordan, and Shaq all deserve to be unanimous MVPs, my opinion. Jeremy Lin back to the Warriors. That would be fun. But I don't think that'll happen. An interesting thing is Joakim Noah. If they decide to, I'm not sure if Bogut's a free agent. He might be. I'm not sure. But Varejão's out, Ezeli's out, Bogut might be out. Like, Joakim Noah is like an interesting thing, right? Like, he could be pretty good for the Warriors, in my opinion. I would like to see that. He'd be really fun to watch in the Bay. Paul George to LA. Oh my God, I would give my left nut for that to happen. Did Hassan get snubbed as Defensive Player of the Year? No, because he was kind of like he puts up numbers on the defensive end, but he didn't finish out a lot of possessions, which is why I think it hurt him in the voting. Vince Carter to the Lakers. Bring me back to 2002, please. Curry put a spell on people. Probably. Might have been a reverse Little B thing. Westbrook to the Knicks. What are your thoughts? I don't know about Westbrook. I mean, his free agency is down the road. And I think anywhere he goes, those fans are going to be happy. He'll fit in anywhere, literally anywhere. What do you think is the secret to Cavs' success? Not playing Love. I really think that's not like not playing him ever, but playing him at the right time, and crunch time is not the right time. I think he gets picked on defense a lot. I think the secret to their success, the Cavs, is to not play him in crunch time. I think their best lineup would be Kyrie, Delly, or actually Kyrie, Shumpert, JR, LeBron, and Thompson, or Fry at that last spot instead of Thompson. That's their best lineup, in my opinion. KD to the Pacers, you wish. KD to the Bulls, you wish. Lakers trade for Paul George 13, PG-13. Look, I don't think the number 2 pick and D'Angelo Russell and whatever else Larry Bird wants to do or wants is enough to get Paul George. Paul George is, probably the 6th best player in the league, in my opinion. Now, what you have to remember is Larry Bird was a Celtic, would he really trade his franchise player to the Lakers? I say no, but whatever. Will Bulls trade anyone? Probably. Um, I hate that front office. They draft extremely well, but they don't really treat their players with respect, in my opinion. KD to the Warriors. During the season, I was like, I could see it, but now I just don't. But again, anything's possible. LeBron should play the 5 in the series when Draymond goes to the 5. Yeah, he should, but will he? No, because LeBron doesn't like being even a 4. I don't know why, but yeah. Curry, how many rings? I have a question for you. My friends know me as the guy who asks really tough questions, and I have a question for you guys. We have like this kind of like criteria for what you need to do to be the best ever or top 5 best player ever. One of those things is get rings, and if you could get to 6 rings like Jordan, that's a big plus to you. That's why people think Kobe, and I think this as well, isn't as good as Jordan because he got 5 and Jordan got 6. But not only that, Jordan got 6 finals MVPs. Let me ask you a question. If Curry wins 4 rings in a row but doesn't get 6 rings, and then he has an amazing career after, puts up all those numbers, the numbers are similar to Jordan, could he be considered as, top 3 best player ever? If he wins 4 rings but not 6 altogether. So 4 rings straight, something Jordan never did. But Curry doesn't get to 6 rings necessarily. But again, 4 straight. Would you consider Curry as like one of the top 3 best players of all times? Let me know. Ori has 7. Yes, that doesn't make him better. But finals MVPs and the impact that Jordan, Kobe, Shaq, even LeBron, Bird, and Magic had on their team in the finals is just not the same as Robert Ori, because no one brings up Derek Fisher. He has 5 rings, so there's that, I agree Curry might be the best offensive player since Jordan. I agree with that. Spencer Brook or Bach. Book. I don't know how to say your name. Rings aren't the only things that matter. As much as I hate Curry, if he does that, he would be the GOAT, even with 3 straights if he lost this year. With only 3 straight if he lost this year. I agree. I mean, I think three-peating is such a hard thing to do, and I think as the years go on, as the league gets more talented, that three-peats become way more or less of a probability. I know Kobe and Shaq did it back in the day, but the chances of it doing it were much greater than they are now, just because the talent in the league is so much better, in my opinion. Lick Bach. Okay, Spencer Bach. How many rings do you think you deserve? I don't play in the NBA, so 0. Trade Westbrook or sign trade for first or second pick. I want to do that. Westbrook is untradeable in my opinion. I think what makes it, Eric Lee says, I think what makes the greatest player in NBA history is how much they impacted and changed the NBA. I think Curry won't be the best ever, but second behind Jordan. By the way, I won't read humble brag comments, but thank you, Eric Lee. That really means a lot to me. I agree with you, but Curry is changing the game. Remember, I want to be like Mike. I want to be like Mike. Sorry to bless you with that terrible singing, but remember, he changed the game, man. Curry is doing it the same. I go to the park now. Kids are shooting pull-up threes off the dribble. That was never the case when I was a kid. He's changing the game, in my opinion, almost just as much as Jordan did. Maybe just a little bit less, but he really is. D-Wade in his prime was amazing. Yeah. Okay, so Islam Awad 123. Wade was amazing in his prime, and I thought he was the next guy, the next Kobe, the next Jordan, the next alpha dog in the league, but he never developed a consistent three-point shot. Kobe wasn't a great one, but he was still deadly from that range, whereas guys would kind of back off Wade, and Wade was kind of reluctant to shoot it. Had he done that, he would have easily been the alpha dog, in my opinion, better than LeBron, but it just didn't happen. It hurts my heart to say that, but that's just what I think. Barkley, no ring, still one of the greatest, yes, but not top 10 in my opinion. If you ever read the book of basketball, read that. Bill Simmons ranks the players. And it's a really fun, hilarious book. I guarantee you will like it if you like basketball. But I don't think Barkley was in the top 10 of that book. Jordan would destroy Curry in current league. Well, Curry wouldn't really be guarding him. And I get what you're saying, but remember, Allen Iverson did cross over Jordan. So there's that. Porzingis is the GOAT. Facts. Parker Pate. I would switch your names to Pate Parker, so it's kind of like a Peter Parker. Shout out Spider-Man. But I agree. Porzingis is a wow. You can't guard him. If he wants to shoot, he's going to shoot. It's up to him to make it, and he makes them at a pretty consistent rate. I love Porzingis. The Lakers should have picked him. But I wasn't saying that during draft day, so I don't think you could blame anyone for saying that, but I wasn't saying, yeah, pick Porzingis, but yes, they should have. How about this? Westbrook to the Bulls. I don't see it. What will LeBron do if he takes an L in these finals? I don't know. There's some speculation that he might leave. I just don't see him leaving again. But if he does leave, I'm sorry, Cleveland. I don't want you guys to have your heart broken like that again. Do you think the Warriors are good, or is it that the league is weak? I don't think the league is weak. I think the league has the most talent we've ever seen it, but I don't think the skill level is as good as previous years. You look back, like Rick Fox was more skillful than Andre Robertson, but Andre Robertson's more talented, like more athletic, and he hustled, like, you know what I mean? Like the ceiling for Robertson was more than Rick Fox, but Rick Fox was more skillful, if you know what I mean. So I think the talent in the league is the best it's ever been, but guys just aren't as skillful. Like no one can guard the post anymore. That's why Boogie's killing it, because no big guys know how to guard the post. Colder than a Yeti, eating frozen spaghetti. One of the best lines ever. A rapper, I could just see Biggie, singing that in my head. Colder than a Yeti, eating frozen spaghetti. Oh, what a great line. Whoever wrote that line, you're the real MVP. Mozgov, Matt Lindy says, still nothing with Mozgov. Wow, no respect for a great player. Sure, but he hasn't been playing. What do you want me to talk about? Him celebrating on the bench? Do I think he's a good player? Yes. Do I think he was necessary for the Cavs? No. They won, what was it, 6 games, or 10 games straight without him, basically. So they really don't need him. That doesn't mean he's not a good player. Curry isn't as good as Jordan, won't be either, won't be second best, and not best forward since Jordan either. I'm not sure what you're going with that, Devon Quinlan. Curry's not a forward. I think he does have a chance to be second best ever. I mean, he's changing the game. He's breaking records. He's playing at championship levels, and it's still early in his window. But all we could base it on is what we're seeing right now. We can't predict the future. So, look, Curry could not ever make it to the finals ever again after this year. But the fact is he is, and we have to assume that he can continue getting to the finals and continue playing like this. You can't predict a fall off, in my opinion, at least. Kevin Love had GOAT stats when he was in Minnesota. Yep. Good stats, bad team. That's just my take on it. Boogie! William Mercado. Sorry. Boogie to the Lakers. Yeah, I would like that. Hey, Jerome, what are your thoughts on Steven Adams' performance? Is he the third best player in OKC? In this series, that's from Kenny Lee. Yes, he was the third best player in this series, but the third best player on far as talent and what that player could be is Serge Ibaka. I love that dude. Surge protector, Ibaka. I love everything about him. But yes, Steven Adams. We talked about it earlier. You might have missed it. I just gave a glowing review to Steven Adams. I think that dude is a baller, and he's just cool, man. He's awesome. He's awesome. What if Boogie went to the Warriors? Game over. That's what. R2D A Man 22 or 2 2. I don't know. KD is going to the Spurs, I guess. Jose Curry. You know, that would be interesting. How did Harden not make All NBA? Defense and his team was a huge disappointment. His team was supposed to be top 4 at least. I think the Vegas Sportsbook had them at 50 plus wins. They were supposed to be one of the best regular season teams record wise, and they barely made the playoffs. And Harden really took a hit on his All NBA votes because of that. What team is the best fit for KD? I said earlier OKC, but also Miami. That's from Jay Lira. Nike Addict. Do you think Curry will get respect? Legends don't think Curry will get the respect. Legends don't even respect him. Yes, but legends don't respect anyone in this game, and I think it's really unfair because the legends before the legends weren't doing that to the legends, if you know what I'm saying. Syrian, Heat, Kobe, or Magic. Now, Magic says Kobe's the greatest Laker ever. And I didn't grow up with Magic. So if you're asking me, I could only realistically say Kobe, but I think Magic was the greatest Laker ever. He kind of made the Lakers what they were. You think of before, they had Wilt Chamberlain. Okay, he's kind of colorful. Jerry West, not so colorful. Elgin Baylor, not so colorful. George Mikan. You look up a square in a dictionary, that's George Mikan. But Magic made the Lakers this glitz and glam thing. Remember, Kareem wasn't really an outgoing guy. He was kind of an introvert. Magic made Showtime, which is why I think he's the greatest Laker ever. That's from Nike Addict. Good question, man. Happy birthday, Harrison Barnes. Thanks for reminding me. Omi. Will this center position evolve to shooting threes? Yes, it already has, but that doesn't mean the post game is dead and has no place in this league. That's from Paul L. I think the Cavs showed that posting up the Warriors actually is kind of like their kryptonite. Then the Warriors kind of figured it out, but that doesn't mean you can't win a game or 2 or even 3 or 4 posting up against the Warriors. So I think it has a place. And again, I said earlier, guys don't know how to defend the post anymore because they never have to. So I think that if a guy like Boogie and Porzingis really get their post game going, they could be unstoppable. Who will win MVP next year? It depends who's at the top of the conference. If KD leaves, he could win. If Damian gets a great team, like a top 3 in his conference, he could win. But, you have to just put your bets on like Westbrook, LeBron, and Curry. Ian, I've been noticing you. What if LeBron hits foul line shot like MJ and retired this year? There would be left potential. There wasn't that much left potential with Jordan. So he'd kind of get the hate for that. And just this era is all about hate. So there would be that. Let's see. Marco Duran says, no, Curry is a great player, but Curry is no Jordan, not even close. He is great, but he closes. But the closest to Jordan is the almighty Black Mamba. Curry's changing the game, but nothing near the GOAT. I mean, I agree, but I have to disagree. Like, just because Curry has a small sample size, we can't hold that against him. I think he does have the chance to, be at least top 3 of all time, or top 5 even, in my opinion. Devin. But there's an O in it. Anyways. From Cleveland, I will cry if LeBron leaves. I'm sorry, Nathan Butler. I would cry for you as well. Islam Awad 123 says Dwayne Wade never got the credit he deserves. I talked about it earlier. He didn't add that shot to his game. I give him all the credit for what he did do, but he did leave a lot on the table. Like he could have been the next guy, the next Kobe. You know what I'm saying? But it just didn't work out that way for him. Thoughts on Harden having better stats this year than Kobe in 05? No respect for his stats either. Pats fan 5101. Again, his team was such a big disappointment and he didn't make his teammates better. I think that's what you look into for an MVP vote and even an all NBA vote. And Kobe didn't win the MVP that year in 05. So there's that. And yeah, Harden's stats were better, but also I think the game is a little bit more faster. So a little bit of inflation for Harden's stats, but not by too much. Harden put up a great statistical season, but again, his team was a disappointment. So it didn't lead to team success like it did last year. Remember that, where Dwight went down and Harden was killing it and his team was winning a ton of games. He went to the Western Conference Finals. There was that. Eric Lee says, what do you think the best point guard is behind Curry and Westbrook? Chris Paul. I think he had an amazing year that kind of got lost by the media and the fans. Chris Paul. What a beast. And then right after Chris, I'd put Damian Lillard. Jim Binder, who do you think will win the finals? You missed it, but I said that the Warriors deserve to be favored just because of everything they did, especially after coming down 3-1. I mean, they won 73 games. They deserve to be favored, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't be surprised if the Cavs won because they're playing great right now. Will Johnson says Curry right now in the NBA makes people watch the sport. Did Mike had the same impact on the game and made people who only watched other sports watch the sport? Did Mike do the same? Yes, Mike made the game global. I get what you're saying. I'm not 100% sure what you're saying, but I kind of get it. But Mike made the game global. He did. And that's something no other player could ever do. But Curry is changing the game on how it's played more. And he's also bringing in a lot of people from around the world. Another thing I want to say, and this for the fans of the sneaker side of my channel, to be like a transcendent player, you kind of have to have the not basketball side of things, right? So the personality and the people want to wear your gear and stuff. And Curry has that with Under Armour, and he's not in the Nike Jordan brand shadow. So I think that's an interesting wrinkle where he's kind of building a brand, because remember, Jordan kind of built the Nike basketball brand and then it became Jordan brand. And that was just kind of like this wild card thing. Kobe didn't do that. Magic didn't do that. You know, all these great players you want to name. AI kind of did that with Reebok, but then Reebok effed up and fell off. But sorry, Noah. But yeah, I think that's an interesting wrinkle that Under Armour and Curry has like this special thing going. Let's see. Jonathan Manga asks, can Golden State perform without Clay? Absolutely, especially if Draymond is shooting the ball very well. Edward Nunez says, Dr. J, MJ, Kobe, LeBron, is Curry the next in line for the generation? Absolutely. It's naive to think not, in my opinion. Again, it could all fall apart for Curry. He could be a flash in the pan like Steve Nash was kind of, but you can't deny what he has done. And he definitely deserves his place. You know, he's definitely in the top 40 right now for me, ever. Definitely, easily. Top 30, top 20, maybe. He could get into the top 10, top 5. I think there's real potential for top 3. Lillard carried the Blazers to the playoffs. Spencer Bach says, yeah, did you see my NBA talk about what the biggest surprise this season in the NBA was? It was the the Blazers. So go check out that video. I talk all about them, and it's great. Love Damian. Love the D Lillard twos. What about KD to Portland? That's all they need. Good forward. Already have D Lillard. Will call him and Plumlee. Yeah. Again, I talked about it earlier. In the middle of the season, I thought KD to Portland was a huge possibility, but now I think if he leaves, he goes to the East. Young Lex says Curry gonna be a legend, bruh. I agree. Casey Royal says, Jerron, who's the better point guard, Steve Nash or John Stockton? True definition of a point guard, I go John Stockton. How do you feel about Dwight Howard to the Portland Trailblazers? I feel like that's a decent pickup, but again, they have Plumlee, so he played very well for them. So I'm not really sure. Luaro Rangel, ask where KD is going. I talked about it earlier in this video, so check that out. Are Curry and Thompson more dynamic than Jordan and Pippen? Curry and Thompson are more dynamic offensively, yes. Nowhere near defensively. I think what Curry and Thompson does offensively, Jordan and Pippen did defensively. So it's really like it depends what you want. Ooh, side boob. Hope you guys like that. Hey, I'm not the one that told you to sit. I'm not the one that told you to sit right there. You just sat right there. Side boob, straight for the people. Oh, babe, someone said you were hot earlier. Marco Duran says, when you gonna catch this L in 2K, boy? Hit me up on my team. I love playing my team. My PSN handle is the same as my YouTube, Duranmon. So add me, I'll add you. Curry versus Westbrook is a budding rivalry, says Payne Ford. Yes, but Curry has got the upper hand right now, in my opinion. I just talked about Dwight Howard to Portland, Brandon Hamilton. Weebo Jones says, do you believe in the base god's curse? The base god's curse is 100% accurate. Does that mean it's working actually as a curse? No, but I'm saying it's a pretty nice coincidence. Let's see here. Jordan was old when Iverson crossed him up. Wasn't it in 96? Wasn't it that 72-10 season? I think it was. So, and I think Jordan was MVP that year. So, okay. Daniel, Judd. Bradley Beal to the Thunder, Nathan Pierce says. That'd be cool. I don't know if they can afford it, though. Portland really screwed them with that offer sheet that they signed Enes Kanter to. And the OKC's kind of screwed with the numbers. Nightwing says, I just saw a dog's butthole without my consent. Well, guess what? Your dog mouth rapes me every time I go to your house. So there's that. And also your dog is, we know what your dog is, right? Let's just say not manly. Team USA starting five. I think you have Curry, Westbrook, KD, Kawhi, and who would be the five? Anthony Davis? I don't know. Daniel Perez says KD9 or J crossover. I haven't played in the KD9, but so far I would say KD9. Spencer Bach says she is assaulting Winnie the Pooh. Yes, she is. Jose Curry says, do you like Kawhi Leonard? Absolutely. I think he's a beast. He's one of my favorite players to play 2K with. Nathan Butler says, Iverson can cross anyone. Absolutely. He can cross anyone up. Paying for Dame. Does Dame make USA? It's weird because Colangelo has this weird thing where he's like, if you turn our back on us, you're shunned from the program. Kind of like how Pat Riley is with the Heat program, but he did just hang up Shaq's jersey, which if you know the history between them, is kind of like a weird thing. But do I think Dame can make it? Absolutely. Will he? I'm not sure. Hey, the vet chopped off his balls. You can't blame him. Nightwing talking about his dogs. So did my dog. I know a lot of dogs without balls. They still are manlier than Beast. Facts. Clippers trade for Paul George. That's interesting. That could happen. We'll just have to wait and see. People forget that Jordan won the game versus Iverson. He had like 35 points. Young Lex says, yeah, I get that. He won the game, but that doesn't take away the fact that Jordan got crossed by Iverson. So there's that. Marco Duran, better handle, Iverson or Curry? It's pronounced Duran. Marco Duran. Better handle, I would have to give to Iverson. It's close, though. Curry's a little bit too out of control sometimes. Iverson had it more on a string, in my opinion. Chris Garo says, do you think D'Angelo Russell ruins any chance of free agency pickups? No, I don't think at the end of the day he doesn't. I think that's just something we talk about and the media talks about to soak up TV time. Uh, let's see, Kenneth Faried on Team USA. I don't know about this year, but I love Kenneth Faried. Does Paul George deserve his own shoe by now? Big Rome is asking. Absolutely. Under Armour should throw all the money they can at him. I don't think he gets it with Nike though, because I think they want to stick with 3 signatures. Um, let's see. SRT 5287 asks, does D'Angelo Russell have any future potential? Absolutely. All young players do have future potential. A lot of players are late bloomers. So even if he doesn't do good next year, that doesn't mean he's dead. Do I like D'Angelo Russell? No, I have a love-hate relationship with him. Jesus Chavez or Jesus, who's winning the finals? Your thoughts? I talked about it earlier. Put a gun to my head. Warriors. Brian 12-ish. Pat Riley, greasiest hair in NBA coaching history. Best dressed coach in NBA history. Be careful. Pat Riley is the mafia. Do you think the Curry 2s have too much hype? Nope. They're a good shoe at a fantastic price. Eric Lee, what's the best performance shoe you've ever worn? That would be the Adidas Adizero Rose 2.5. It's just my favorite shoe. Ventilation, cushion, comfort, support, fit. Everything about that shoe I like, except the look. It's kind of a weird looking shoe. What does Westbrook or KD need to win a wing? Do they need to separate? I don't think they need to separate. That's from L'Oreal Vega. I don't think they need to separate. I think they need a veteran. Who's the veteran on the Thunder? No one. And you could say, yeah, they had Derek Fisher. He's not getting the job done. They need a veteran who can contribute. I don't know who that is, but they need one to calm them down because as we saw, they could beat the Warriors. And they almost did. They got to game 7 and close in game 7, as a matter of fact. Ever notice KD drinks Gatorade on the bench? It's because he chokes. Haha. Let's see. Sorry, the chat room is kind of weird to get through, but Dramon, how are the Lakers going to do next year? That's from JP Watt. Wait. I don't think they'll make the playoffs unless they make a big trade for a superstar. But if they actually draft like Brandon Ingram, I think they won't make the playoffs again. I don't think they have their pick next year, so that's why I think they'll trade it. They can't afford to be in a lottery again. Gary Pressenton, you don't think a healthy Cavs team can win? They damn near did it last year. Yes, they can win, but like I said, Love on that squad doesn't make them a better team, in my opinion, especially against the Warriors. But again, the Warriors deserve to be favored. Down 3-1. They won big game 6 on the road while they were down most of that game. They won 73 games. They deserve to be favored. Jerron, did you play high school ball? Yes, up until my junior year. Hugo Cruz says, how would you try to fix the Rockets? I would get a really good coach. Is D'Antoni that coach? I don't think so. I think Mikal was the right guy for them. But like, if Thibodeau went to the Rockets, I think that they would be a really good team. But he's with Minnesota now. Any Timberwolves fans out there? Marco Duran, do the Lakers 3 youngins give you hope? 2 youngins. I don't put Clarkson in that group, but I guess. I mean, I don't know. Jordan and Pippen or Curry and Clay? I mean, obviously Jordan and Pippen. They have more rings at this point, so there's that. Let's see what else. Eloy Urbina is asking, will Karl Anthony Towns become better than Anthony Davis? I don't know about better, but I think just as good. But yeah, he could become better, of course. But I think Anthony Davis just had a bad year, and we forget how good he really is. Enrico Benitez asks thoughts on Jordan Clarkson. Hashtag Laker Nation. Very nice. I like him. I don't know if he's the answer. I wouldn't sign him to a ton of money. If you could get him on a good contract, I would re-sign him. He's efficient, but he's a little undersized, a little thin for my taste. What small forward should the Clips pick up? There's a couple out there. Kent Bazemore would be really cool, but if they can't afford him, I'm blanking on his name. Lance Thomas at New York Knicks. He's nice. He can play small ball 4 as well. I really like Lance Thomas. Him to Portland would be good. Him anywhere would be good, but Portland and the Clippers, very good. Is Draymond going to get suspended? No, but he did pull down Adams, and I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him a flagrant or whatever, or a technical or whatever on that play. Young Lex says Lakers have a lot of money, bruh. Yeah, so does everyone else. The cap is going up, so everyone has money, except OKC and the Cavs. I was laughing all week at Stephen A. Smith's blatant disrespect against Golden State. That's what Gab Koo says. Now, my Stephen A. Smith impression comes and goes. I'm probably going to do a terrible one here, but my friends say they like it. But actually, I'm not going to do a Stephen A. impression. But I love Stephen A. His job is to do hot takes, so you can't really be mad at him. He's an actor, basically. Favorite retro shoe to hoop in, the Air Jordan 7. Love that shoe. To me, it's the most modern Jordan, 1 through 14, in my opinion. It just feels like a shoe that could come out today and be a lot of people's favorites. That's from Paul L. Good question. Young Lex says, everyone has money, but not like LA, though, I'm telling you. Yes, everyone has money, just like LA. The only thing LA has is, like, we're in LA. A lot of teams have money. And when it comes down to signing a max player, that's only 25, 30 mil off the books. So even if LA has like 60 mil off on the books, you could sign 2 max guys, but there isn't a market for that. The view count's going down, which is my cue to kind of wrap this up. So get your questions in. I'll answer them for you. Let's see. Is there hope for D Rose? Yeah, there's hope for D Rose. He has to invent his game and get a really good shot, but there is hope for him. He's a very smart player, in my opinion. Before he got injured, he was hitting his guys so well. His IQ was through the roof. He knew where their guys were before they even got to their spot, especially Kyle Korver. Will older players like Dirk and Duncan have any more golden moments in the league? That's from Marco Duran. Absolutely, they can, especially Dirk, in my opinion. Nathan Pierce says, did you watch the dunking? Yes, but I missed the last episode. Who won the dunking? Was it that small dude? Because that was the best small dunker I've ever seen in my entire life. Billy Rose says, bro, I got to ask a question. Is Golden State strong enough to beat the Cavs? Absolutely. If they're strong enough to beat this OKC team down 3-1, they are strong enough to beat the Cavs. Again, my power rankings for the best team in the playoffs was number 1, whoever won this Western Conference Finals, which was Golden State. So, but if it was OKC, they would be number 1. But Golden State, or if it was OKC, it would be them as number 1. But they didn't win. So Golden State, then OKC, then the Cavs as the 3rd best team in this year's playoffs, in my opinion. Yep, the small guy won. Awesome. He deserved it. That guy was awesome. Like, I couldn't even believe what I was watching. He's really good. Dunking was lit. I hope there's a season 2. I really like that show. Hopefully they marketed it well and it got good ratings, because I really like that show. I think it's really dope. The winner of that should be in the NBA dunk contest. I think that would be really cool. How do you feel about an idea of a 4-point line? Feels bogus to me, but seems to be gaining support. That's from Pats Fan 5101. If you're in Massachusetts, I had a friend that was from Babe, where was Tom from? I forget where he was from. He was from South Boston. He's a huge Pat fan, so shout out to you, Tom. Wow, I can't believe I'm blanking on his city's name. It was a harbor town. I just watched Mystic River, by the way. But what was your question? Oh, the 4-point line. Yeah, bogus. Will never happen. Sorry, the chat room is getting off. Is it just me, or do you kind of look like Sean Livingston? Gotten that before. Will Kobe come out of retirement like the GOAT did? No, but if he did, he'd probably play in Italy. Yes, Karl-Anthony Towns will make an all-star team next year, Will Johnson. What's the most inconsistent aspect about Westbrook games? Yamanashi153. He can't change his shot in the air. When he does, I'm not saying that he can't ever, because he does. He just doesn't do it often. He tries to jump through and over you, or he should start doing around you. But I think the most inconsistent aspect of Westbrook game is passing to the guy who is going to get an assist. So he doesn't really have a lot of secondary assists. He kind of just wants to pass to the guy who's going to shoot the shot, not to the guy who could get a better shot by swinging it, in my opinion. Will LeBron super team ever happen? I think it will. Pats fan, Chowda for life. Yeah, absolutely. Barbara. Thoughts on the Preacher TV show? I haven't seen it yet. Planning on it, though. Do you think the NBA should rethink about how seeding happens in the NBA? In my opinion, no. I like the conferences. It's not my fault that the West, and it's quite frankly not the team's fault that the West has the best talent. But would I be mad if they did the 16 best teams and rank them like that? No, I wouldn't be mad. That would be entertaining as hell. But I also don't mind the current system. Curry from Akron, look it up. No one's disputing you, Nathan. Who's my favorite player right now? Eric Lee. And my favorite player to watch is obviously Curry, obviously for obvious reasons. But my favorite player to watch, I think you're looking for like a different answer. That it would have to be either Damian Lillard or Porzingis. Those are my favorite guys to watch. Stephen A. impression. I'm just not up to it right now. Maybe I'll do it in one of my videos. Is James Harden going to get a signature shoe? If so, when? Yes, he will get it. When? I don't know. Who do I think the best overall player in the NBA is right now? Overall, probably LeBron, but the number one guy in the NBA is Curry right now. That's a different question. Obviously, LeBron has more skills, but his team didn't win 73 games and break records, personal records and team records, and have as high of a player efficiency rating. So, or he might have had just as high, but there's that. Who do I think is the worst in the NBA? Miguel Sandoval, the worst player in the NBA? I don't know. That's a tough question. But most disappointing player in the NBA would probably be who is the most disappointing player in the NBA? D'Angelo Russell. Who's the weak link for the Warriors? Harrison Barnes. That's from Daniel Arias. Harrison Barnes, for sure. He's the weak link. Like, he needs to play good for them to be great. If he's not playing good, the Warriors could still be good, but they can't be great. Why does everyone sleep on Paul George? That's from Brandon Harper. Well, he's playing in Indiana, and his team got bounced out of the first round. People are talking about what's happening now. I don't think people are sleeping on him. It's just nothing really to talk about. He's on vacation. He went fishing. He's gone fishing. So I do think he's the sixth best player in the league right now, though, for sure. Duncan retiring or no? Flip of the coin, but my coin says yes. Would you trade the Lakers pick, Clarkson, and Russell for Paul George? Yes, and add my left nut to that. I said that earlier. Anything for Paul George. Because, again, once the Lakers get one guy, it's like a dominoes. Like everyone else will want to come. They just need that one guy. Does Durant have a better chance of winning a ring outside OKC? I don't know about better, but I think just the same chance. Yes. And he has a good chance now. I mean, they almost beat the Warriors, a historic Warriors team. So, yeah. Did Curry ever dunk in this game? No, he tried to, but yes, he has dunked before. That's from D'Angelo Audrey. Mr. John MMJ says Ingram versus Simmons. I would take Simmons, but Ingram's pretty intriguing. I just think Ingram doesn't have his, actually that's not true. I think he's pretty decent on defense. He played some pretty good games for Duke defensively. They had him at the top of their 3-2 and 2-3 zone, which is, usually where a guy like that wouldn't be placed, but that's just the brilliance of Coach K. Will Wed Testers have a dedicated branch for runners and trainers? If so, how can I become part of the team? Email Nightwing. Well, my recommendation to you, by the way, yes, we will have a dedicated branch for runners and trainers, but my recommendation to you is build up your portfolio, like show us what you can do, and email Nightwing with your content. Did you agree with Shaq saying Matthew Dellavedova is the worst defender saying? Thoughts on his defense? Yeah, I didn't hear him say that, but like I said earlier, Dova gets away with like these weird things that you could call a foul. And I said earlier, I don't mind them not calling it, but I'm just saying that you could call a foul on those. Nathan Pierce says, will Lance Stevenson ever be good again? Yeah, there's a chance. Boy, was that fun to watch. Kenny Salaga is asking, how is Barnes the weak link? Barbosa is ass. Yeah, but Barbosa never plays. So how a weak link is kind of like who's like hurting their squad. Barbosa isn't playing by hurting or isn't playing. So how could he be hurting his squad? Like that doesn't make any sense. And Barbosa actually played very well in game 5. He came up with key steals. So there's that. Livingston played bad on offense. That's what happens when you can't shoot a 3. DMC can. Barbosa isn't that bad. I agree. I think he's actually kind of good. I actually wanted to see him play a little bit more in this series. I think he scored a bucket tonight, so good for him. Brian 12-ish says, is Varejao an infant in a Giants man body? Absolutely. Eric Lee says, will KD ever win a championship? Yeah, I think so, but there is potential for him to be like the next Barkley or Melo. I think it's naive to say that there isn't potential for that. Let's see. I think we're about to end this. The view count is, as soon as I get under 200 watchers, I'll stop doing it. So keep sending me your questions. This is really fun, guys. I'm really enjoying it. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. It makes my day to like nicely have conversations with you guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. Why do you hate D'Angelo Russell so much? That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm a Laker fan, and he's the 2nd overall pick. You're supposed to hate him. And also Snapchat. Okay, here's an interesting one. The OG Fresh. Do you think Anthony Morrow should have played today? No, they got within 4 points in the 4th quarter. I think Steven Adams should have played more today. But yeah, Morrow did have a pretty good game 5. Remember that? That was pretty awesome to see. I remember when he scored 55 while playing for the Warriors. That was crazy. Will Miami win another championship before D-Wade retires? Maybe, especially if they get KD. Is Nick Young going to be traded or released? Probably. Okay, Brock, I'll answer your question. Brock Guerrero says, someone said Curry is a blank for not driving to the rim instead of shooting threes all the time. Not my question, but I saw it earlier and thought it brings up a good discussion. Look, Ray Allen barely drove, so there's that. And I mean, if you look up the numbers, Curry's one of the best finishers around the rim. So, he starts the game off shooting to get people to come up, then he drives in. So that's just, whoever said that just doesn't have a good argument. That's like saying Dirk is a P word for doing all those fadeaways instead of doing post hooks down in the paint. No one was saying that. So, I mean, there's that. Justin Torres 28 says, thoughts on Luke Walton being a head coach for the Lakers? Love it. Great pick. It's also just to see a guy that young with an amazing father like Bill Walton, who's one of the best commentators of all time. A guy like that be a head coach. The league is really turning places, and I think Becky Hammon, I think that's her name, will get a head coaching job, and I think it'll be with the Spurs. I really do think that's a possibility, and I think that's great for the league. Let's see. Buddy over Ingram? I think so. That's a gamble. Could Buddy Hield be as good as Ingram or better? Absolutely. But if you want to be the GM to take Buddy Hield over Brandon Ingram, that's on you. But just know that that's a gamble. That's from Andy Cruz. Very good question. I like that. Let's see. Victor Markena says, in your opinion, will LeBron get his number one spot back if the Cavs win the title? I think it'll be 1A and 1B at that point. To a certain extent, it's 1A and 1B right now. But Curry is the 1A. So if he wins this title, especially against this Warriors team, yeah, I could see him getting his number 1 or number 1A spot back. Johnny Perez Jr., I made my finals prediction earlier, so hopefully this video archives, you could check that out. But a long story short, the Warriors deserve to be favored. In the clutch, Ray Allen or Curry corner 3? Well, that's an interesting question. Is he off the dribble or is he doing on the catch? If it's off the dribble, I would say Curry. If it's on the catch, then I would say Ray Allen. Jolo Ayala is asking, will DeMar leave Toronto? I think he'll shop around, but I think they re-sign him, and then they might trade him like the next year. Masai does that. He signs guys just because he wants to get that asset, then he'll trade them down the road. That happens all the time with Masai Ujiri, one of the best GMs in the league. Sorry, guys. I'm kind of behind on the comments. It's like freaking out, but let's see. Compare Westbrook and Curry defensively. Obviously, Westbrook has higher potential on the defensive end. That's from Jason and Lynette Burnett. Look, obviously, Westbrook has higher potential on the defensive end, but I think he takes off more possessions than Curry. But I also think Westbrook gets matched up on better players. Obviously, just by looking at him, you would think Westbrook is the better defensive player, and he absolutely can be. But, I mean, I don't think Westbrook is exponentially better than Curry on defense. But better, yeah, probably. Marco Duran, thoughts on a female coaching in the NBA? I just talked about that. I think that's good for the league, and I do think it'll be with the Spurs, with Becky Hammon. I hope I'm getting her name right. Oh, my God. Let's see. Curry, Ray Allen when Curry's career is done. Already Curry, Ray Allen never won an MVP. Curry's got 2 and a ring. And I know Ray Allen has a ring, but as a role player, not as a star. Well, actually, he did win in that 08. So I take that back to a certain extent. But again, Paul Pierce and KG were kind of like the 2 guys. He was like the third wheel. I don't know. But Curry, I mean, he's had a better career. He broke all of Ray Allen's records. Who's taking the last shot? Curry, Clay? Probably Curry. That's from Eric Lee. Jinx OR says, who's better, Westbrook or LeBron? LeBron. Now, let me ask you a question. I ask this with my friends all the time. Would you rather have LeBron with Curry's shot or LeBron with Westbrook's motor? I think that's an interesting question. Let me know in the chat section. Let's see. Westbrook or Curry on your fantasy team? Curry, just because I think he makes his teammates a little bit better. And so the other four guys will be better because of Curry, if you get what I'm saying. But stats wise, I don't know. It's like toss up. But Westbrook probably gets more fantasy points. That's from Young Lex. Dan Walsh, Ben Simmons, number one. Absolutely. Paula, how did you get all the diamond players on my team? Do you have a lot of MT? Currently, no. I spent it all on the diamond players. But, just flipping cards and working the auction house is so dumb. It's terrible. 2K really messed up on that mode. But, yeah. Again, so when I get under 200 watches, I'm going to just end this. But if you guys keep watching, I'll keep doing. Do you think LeBron should go back to the Heat? Nope, I don't. Just win one for Cleveland, LeBron. Just stay there. It's set up perfectly for you. You're the guy. Take Believe Land to the promised land. And that means winning, not just taking them there. So people are saying LeBron with Curry's shot and attitude. Yeah, I mean, that'd be – I would take LeBron with Westbrook's motor, personally. But, yeah, that'd be funny. Will Chris Paul be a forgotten player in the history of the NBA because of his style of play? I get what you're trying to say, but not because of his style of play, just because he didn't win a ring or whatever. But people don't really forget Isaiah Thomas or Tracy McGrady. Tracy never got past the semifinals, and Isaiah Thomas, kind of got shunned from the great players, like Jordan. Let's see here. Should D-Rose be traded? That's from Nathan Gaming Con. No, just play out his contract. Don't trade the guy from Chicago. Plus, there's a little potential there. So if he becomes a great player, because he's a hardworking guy, you don't want to trade that. I think his trade value is very low as well. Let's see here. Does this draft remind me of 03? Absolutely not. Nowhere close. This draft is 3 deep with stars, and then 4 or 5 guys who could become pretty decent role players, like Denzel Valentine and Grayson Allen. And the dude from Providence. Do you think DeAndre Jordan is going to finally leave to Miami or Toronto? No, he just signed a max contract, and I don't think they would trade him. And I quite frankly don't know who they would trade him to. Let's see here. I did not watch that hockey game. Here's an interesting one. To Ben 73, do you think the Warriors should thank Adam Silver for not suspending Draymond Green for kicking Steven Adams on the balls on purpose? Now the Warriors won the series. My take on that is yes, I think Draymond Green just wanted to kick his leg up. Did I think he wanted to make contact with him? No. Do I think he wanted to make contact with his balls? No, but I do think he wanted to kick, just not a person. And then I think he was trying to show us that that's his natural movement, and he was all out of character, which is why he wasn't shooting or playing well. But I don't think he tried to kick someone, especially in the balls. Let's see. Marco Duran, is D-Rose scared to be his old self? Absolutely. Look at what Westbrook is doing with almost the same injury. He's relentless. But D-Rose isn't, and I definitely think he's scared to be his old self. Absolutely, it sucks, but that's the truth. Let's see. Whoops, sorry. I'm just kind of the chat room freaks out every now and then. Okay, so here we go. I found my spot. Let's see. Let's see. Boogie to the Celtics? Absolutely. There's a real possibility. The Celtics have a lot of leverage with that 3rd draft pick and a lot of assets. They could get anyone, in my opinion. They could get Paul George. Larry Bird helping out Boston? I don't know. Thoughts on Kobe working with Kawhi in the offseason? I didn't read that, but if that's true, that's really cool. Love Kawhi. Obviously, I love Kobe. I think Kawhi's trying to get a post-up game because he knows that he could beat the Warriors with the post-up game, as LeBron showed in last year's final. So he could be going to Kobe for that advice. Kawhi needs to work on his footwork a little bit and learn how to get where he wants to go without dribbling too much, if you know what I mean, especially from the post. Was Chris Paul ever win a ring? Yeah, I think he could. Even I think he could have like a Jason Kidd type thing where like he goes to Dallas and he isn't the player he used to be, but like still contribute in a big way and then win a ring that way. Um, you need some glasses, buddy. I have them somewhere. I just don't like wearing them when I'm looking at the computer. DeMar to OKC or no? That's from Miguel Sandoval. No. Hold on. I need to adjust my hat. It's a little tight right now. D Money 23 for the win. Hopefully this is actually Jeremiah Green. He says, do you think this year free agency will change the landscape of the NBA forever? Nope, that never happens because until it can't change the NBA forever because like the NBA could change again in the next big free agency cycle. So there's that. Will the Olympic scoring record get broken again because of Curry? Nathan Pierce is asking. There's a chance for that, absolutely. But the Olympics are weird. Like, I'm actually not even sure a lot of those guys are going to end up going to there because of the Zika virus. That's a real thing. So, yeah, I'm kind of concerned about that. Israel. Oh, whoops. I lost my spot again. I had a fun question, but oh, well. I lost my spot. So, do you cringe when D Rose drives to the basket? I don't. I think he does, though. Is Jimmy Butler going to be forced out next year? Nathan Pierce is asking. And I don't know. That's up to Chicago. Jimmy wants to stay. He likes Chicago, but if they force him out, they'll force him out. That wouldn't be the first time Chicago front office has done that to a player or a coach. 5 total. JJ Redick to Detroit. Thoughts? I don't know. I don't know if that would be a great fit because I think Detroit's trying to get 3-and-D guys, much like the Celtics. You know, like Avery Bradley, Jay Crowder, you know, guys like this. So Marcus Smart. JJ Redick's kind of like a slump when it comes to defense. But, you know, he's a good player. Do you think that – Cool Burn says, do you think the Raptors making to the semis, they actually made the conference finals, will make them viable contenders in the NBA in future years after how much attention they pulled from the city? Yes, but they need to upgrade that 4 spot with a really good player. Is Al Horford the answer? I don't know. Is Serge Ibaka the answer? Absolutely. But how can they get Serge from OKC? Or do they have the patience to wait? Because I think Ibaka's the free agent the year after next. So, but yes, the Raptors can become contenders in 2 or 3 years. Let's see here. Thoughts on Kobe training Shaq Kid? That's awesome. Hopefully Sharif O'Neal doesn't become like a Kobe guy. Then Shaq will hate his kid. Billy Rose says MJ is not the best player to ever play. I'm sure we all would like to hear why you think that. Oh, okay. So, your name is too hard. But JJS Queese says Street Ball starting 5, present NBA. Kyrie, Curry, KD. I would put. Who would be the 4? Melo. And then at the 5, I would put Boogie. Let's see here. Oh, we just dropped under 200 views, so I just want. Oh, we're back to 200. Okay, I'll keep going. Okay. Maybe to start the finals. I don't know. I think we're just gonna have to see how it goes. You know. So, Kerr will make the right adjustments. He made the right ones this series, so he'll make the right ones in the next one. But anyways, guys, we're dropping views. We're right around 200. It's late. I'm a little tired. We covered a lot of things. I just want to thank you guys for doing this live stream with me. It's a really cool experience. Hopefully, I'll be able to do a lot more. Remember to go check out the most recent video I posted on what the best Game 7 ever was. There's a crazy story about me and my friend James, and about a particular Game 7. I think you guys will really, really like that. Hopefully you guys like my hats. This hat sold out, but we'll probably get some more in stock pretty soon. But thank you, everyone. This was awesome. Leave comments. Hopefully, give me a thumbs up. That helps me out a lot. If we could get, X amount of thumbs up, a good amount, I'll keep doing these for you guys. I really appreciate it. Congratulations to all you Warriors fans out there. It's going to be great finals. Thank you, guys. See you in the next one. Peace.